failure. You're a 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 failure.
What is going on, guys? It's Adam A.K. Marf. Today's show is going to be packed. We're going to be right back right after this with everything that has gone on in the last day. Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show, including our mods. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. Thank you. And welcome. What is going on, guys? My name is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a great show for you. Just to keep in mind, if you are new here or if you're a new subscriber and don't know how it works, you can actually follow along on a second device over at marfooglenews.com. In fact, when you go here, you will see that it is very easily organized by thumbnail, so you'll just look for fail, of course, sitting right there, and upside down, which is right here on the page. So when you see this in the top left corner or wherever it may be, it might, if you're going back 3 days and it might be three over, you will see that all of our sources are here. So the comment, sources please, go directly here for those. Again, we try to make a bibliography of everything we say, unless it is opinion, and then I try to be very clear about that as an opinion, and so does Dex. Again, then there is on the right side, if you want to support us, we are independent. Truly independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. So if you want to support us in any way, like doing a PayPal super chat type thing over there, or doing any of our affiliates or our Amazon link, you can do so. Now at the bottom there is web-only content. That is basically stuff that is getting people deleted or knocked off. If it's basically too hot for TV, that is going to be down there as well. So there is a whole nother show down there. Make sure to check it out. And then Dex, how are you doing? Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother. What is happening, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So today's show is brought to you by NordVPN. Make sure to use the special code Marfoogle to get a huge savings and to help the show at the same time. marfooglenews.com/VPN. And then, of course, if you are missing our notifications, make sure to get ours. You can go over to marfooglenews.com and sign up and click the bell, and you'll actually be subscribed to our online notifications. Right when we go live, you'll know. All right, get straight into the news. Thank you for Misha Anton. We've got Prepping Plumber and several others. Michelle Fisher that just joined 5 minutes ago. James Putman, thank you for subscribing. All right, let's get into the news. We have, of course, Tennessee flooding was more destructive than first estimated. To update you on this, of course, we talked about it a couple days ago. It says the weekend flooding in Tennessee that killed at least 21 people was more destructive than originally estimated, with about 120 homes washed off of foundations, destroyed, or simply gone, officials said on Tuesday. The scope of the damage came into sharper focus in hardest-hit Humphreys County, as rescue teams continued to search house to house with trained dogs for dozens believed still missing. It says, quote, our damage is much more massive than what we thought, Humphreys County Sheriff Chris Davis told NPR in an interview on Tuesday. It is already believed that hundreds of homes were water damaged and uninhabitable, officials said after the storm brought 17 inches of rain in just 3 hours. Now remember, that was 25% of their yearly rain, all in one morning. It's pretty incredible. That is biblical, if you ask me. Davis and other officials surveyed the damage from a helicopter late Monday, focusing largely on the hardest-hit town of Waverly, about 55 miles west of Nashville. It says, quote, yesterday we thought it was a 20-something houses that had been removed from foundation. That's not even close. Well over 100 to 120 houses have been moved or are just gone, no longer exist. So I'm praying for those in Waverly and every surrounding town that was affected as bad as Waverly. That is really, really bad, and I hope that all of you guys are supporting. If you're local there, if you can volunteer and help, that is something that, of course, you can do. Unless you're doing it for your TikTok and just going there to take a picture in front of the volunteers or hold a drill and pretend you're helping board up windows or something, then that's just a garbage human being. Texas Grid forecasts record power demand as temperatures soar. And actually, we have it says that electricity demand in Texas is expected to climb to an all-time high, and searing heat continues to grip the region. The National Weather Service issued a hazardous weather outlook for North and Central Texas on Tuesday because of hot, humid conditions that make it feel like 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Power consumption on the state's main grid may surge to a record 75,094 megawatts in the hour ending at 6 p.m. local time. So, Dex, I think we had, did we have an update to this? Or was there was something else that actually said that they don't know if it was going to change, or let's see here.
Well, I think what's interesting is that the power demand, while it's so high, everybody was forecasting that it may stress their system, but their system seems to be working and doing just fine at the moment. That's the update I thought I heard as part of this. So we reported on this a while back as they were forecasting, this weather event coming through, and they were saying, hey, we're going to be prepared, or, we need to be prepared because it's going to be, dangerous and worrisome if we can't handle the load. So
and they ended up handling
it looks like they're hitting record loads.
So okay, yeah. What's weird is I think it was the article that I read this morning said that they weren't. So that changed in just a couple of hours to they are hitting the record loads, and it is hitting exactly what they said that they were doing. So. Again, for those people in Texas, man, they've gone through just too much in the last year. As many of you know, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, was actually stranded in that snowstorm. He was at a hotel for a business meeting, and the Fugel fam ended up coming to rescue. This is really crazy, but he was in a hotel that was snowed out, and because their power and their water got cut off, they legally had to tell people to get out. They could not have people in the rooms, even though there was no Uber, there was no transportation, there was no buses, it was snowed in. They said, you have to leave. They even gave him a deadline. They said, you can stay in the lobby for an hour or 2 hours, but you have to get out of there. And of course, I'm sure they were doing it. Shelters were full. Everything was messed up when they had that snowstorm. I ended up going to Twitter. Everybody, my sister was so desperate, she called me and said, hey, can you put out a tweet? Or can you do something? Do you have anybody over there? I ended up tweeting, and several people said that they would drive with their 4x into the snow and go get them. And one gentleman did, and ended up letting my brother-in-law stay with him for 2 days until his flight, because his flight was pushed back as well. So that's the Fugel fam. Let me just tell you, that has come into my into my real life. That's how much I appreciate you guys. And when I say that, I think that a lot of YouTubers say that, but I really do love a lot of you guys. I love you like family, and I appreciate everybody that's here. I mean, that gentleman drove an hour and 20 minutes through and in dangerous conditions to go pick up my brother-in-law and then take him to his house. I guess they ended up getting along really well. They were both salespeople. In fact, the gentleman who picked him up was a high-up salesman and ended up having beers together and had fun. But that's the kind of people that are in this group. So if you're new here, that's the kind of people that are in the chat right now. That is the kind of awesome people around. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. Texas, that hit direct, right to home.
And Adam, I think what you were seeing, and this is interesting, I just went and looked. If you look at the difference between the article we captured and how they updated the article, just a few hours later, like you said, it's been updated. That's exactly what they're saying. They're dialing back. They're saying that people
That's right.
Curtailed their usage. Businesses and others curtailed the usage. But yeah, they were still hitting high demands. Some of the largest usage ever. But yeah, they dialed it back.
People made it better by voluntarily doing what they were supposed to do, and they didn't need the government to step in and do stuff. Yeah. So. It sounds like that's kind of what happened, but demand was expected to peak in an all-time high on Monday, but it ended up coming in at almost 3% below record. The previous high of 74,820 megawatts was set in August 2019. That is a heck of a lot. 1 megawatt is a lot, let alone 74,000 megawatts. And then, of course, I want to say thank you. The Roots and Branch Homestead just subscribed. Thank you, Darth Benedict. Michael De La Roca says, you are my nightly listen for a dose of reality. Well, thank you, Michael, and I appreciate you, and welcome again, and thank you. Delaware Sasquatch says, I have grown to love your broadcast. It is now part of my nightly routine, keeping it real and woke in Delaware. Well, I guess the right kind of woke, right? Greg Griffin, thank you. Veteran Steve, thank you so much for your support. It says, thank you for all you do. Stay encouraged, vigilant, positive, and discerning. Be the change you want to see. I appreciate that. And then this is my screen name, is their screen name. Good friend of ours from California and from our California groups says Marf and Dex 2024. That was the last one out, last show. I appreciate you, and I hope you and your wife are doing well. And then Kamala Harris flight. I'm sorry, I did skip one here. Elon Musk sends SpaceX fans into meltdown with message about old world dying in blaze. Dex, this is a kind of a weird one. And, I talk about Elon a lot. What do you think about this?
Well, yeah, he likes to play with words, and he likes to troll from his position.
It says SpaceX and Elon Musk fans were left baffled after the Tesla CEO posted a bizarre tweet about the old world dying in a blaze of splendor. It says Musk also seemed to reference a war that could be among us. It says it comes after the Taliban took over Afghanistan as thousands fear for their lives under the strict rule. Many fans believe the message could be referring to the uncertain times in the country and what it could mean for the rest of the world. Others joke that it is a sign about Dogecoin, the cryptocurrency Tesla followers believe the billionaire owns, which is pretty funny. He early on did the Dogecoin. There's all these weird people coming out, like even Snowden is saying that Dogecoin is going somewhere. Right now it's at 30 cents. 30 cents a Dogecoin. At that price, a lot of people are getting into it, but I don't know. I'm not a big crypto person. However, it seems the passage is from a historical fiction book that begins with a funeral and a large royal parade arriving to pay their respects. So if you haven't followed kind of Elon Musk's history, I actually have done quite a bit of research into him because I think he's very interesting, to say the least. He's eccentric. Some people act like they worship him, even in the Tesla world and collector world. I've noticed it's kind of gone over. I know a lot of people that collect like Hot Wheels and stuff, and the Tesla is just important. Anything Tesla branded just goes like crazy because people are standing behind it. They believe in it. It's almost like a kind of a Tesla cult or something. People really do follow his every word. But if you do follow his from childhood, the guy was like a kind of absurd type of genius and did a lot of weird stuff even when he was like really, really tiny, doing things that, 12 and 13 and 15 and 20-year-olds do when he was like 2 or 3. So the guy is something different. I mean, there's something about this guy that obviously has made him special. He even blocks his time out into 5-minute blocks. A lot of people don't know that, but if you see the behind the scenes on some of the interviews he's done, there's been behind the scenes where it's like the last word is said, and then after the last 5-minute block that interviewer has, like one of them was like Marcus from MKHBD or whatever, it's like boom, he's gone. He's into the next room, he's into the next interview, he's into the next meeting, and he's started already. There's something different about his brain. So I do think that it's weird because he does these like weird signalings. He's done memes and things that basically say, the rest of the world is worried about money and politics and whatever else. And then he says, meanwhile, and then he puts a picture of an asteroid going through Earth and somebody sitting on the moon watching it getting destroyed. It's like that kind of thing is extremely creepy. The Dogecoin meme that he actually posted was a picture of the Dogecoin, or the Doge dog in this cloud that looked like something that would happen after an asteroid hit, and then the cloud is just swooping over. Of course, you can take double meaning of everything, right? But his are very specifically kind of like cataclysmic predictions. Now, why I think that this should matter is that the guy is on the inside of everything. He got almost all of the sole contracts for NASA. He got the contracts for his boring company, which is boring underground tunnels. And his, of course, SpaceX, his Starlink contracts, that is having sensors put in for hypersonic speed objects. I told you beforehand that I thought Starlink was actually some sort of defense or offensive setup. And now, a couple years later, they announced that, yes, part of Starlink is they were adding these crazy sensors to sense in incoming objects. Now, they were very vague at first, and they said basically anything that's super fast, it would catch. It kind of seems to me like, well, can it catch things going from outside of Earth? Their main thing publicly, that it was going to be able to sense hypersonic missiles. So it is a defensive thing for the military. So that means he's also on the inside of that. He's on the inside of digging tunnels, which again could be used for bunkers. Hit the same materials and the same equipment that he uses for his, hyper tunnels or whatever, Zoom loops or Fruit Loops, whatever you want to call it. Those tunnels can also, that equipment can be used to make bunkers. And then his neural company, of course, making these neural inhibitors connecting to computers. The guy knows stuff. He is on the inside, and he knows things that I think that other people don't. And I don't know how he gets off these little things, but he does it very, very vaguely. It says in the message, which appeared to be a text from a book on WW1, it said, so gorgeous was the spectacle on the May morning of 1910, when 9 kings rode in the funeral of Edward VII of England, that the crowd, waiting in hushed and black-clad awe, could not keep back gasps of admiration. And then it says the message continues to explain how the sovereigns rode through palace gates, followed by 5 heirs and their other royals, and the last royal ranks of its kind. The last royal ranks of its kind. And then it says it ends with the muffled tongue of Big Ben told 9 by the clock as the cortege left the palace. But on history's clock, it was sunset, and the sun of the old world was setting in a dying blaze of splendor, never to be seen again. Like, what? Like, again, Dex says the guy likes to troll. But is this a troll, or is this some sort of like super signaling? What is your opinion? I love to hear everybody's opinion, including opinions that are completely the opposite of my own. Elon simply captioned the post, "The Guns of August." What the hell? So it says, one follower wrote, Elon is trying to tell us something important. What is it? A second wrote, in Elon we trust. This is what I'm talking about, like like that kind of stuff, right? A third added, I assume Mr. Musk is insinuating that our future is a bleak one. Perhaps WW3 is heading our way. Fans of the world claim that its opening passage is iconic and foreshadows the war to come, with others believing that this is the Tesla CEO was referring to. Okay, as he says, he then added the mystery by referencing J.R.R. Tolkien folklore by writing 9 rings for mortal men from the famous Lord of the Rings trilogies. In the books, a war rages in Middle-earth set in another time and place. Musk hasn't responded to any of the comments confirming whether he was just a fan of the book or wanted to make a statement. We'll just have to find out what he is really trying to tell us, something important. I've been covering his tweets for like 2 years because he's done several of these like really weird ones. He is in on top secret meetings. He's got top secret clearance. The guy is extremely high up. He is building the stuff that they don't tell anybody about. So I don't know how he would get away with that. I wonder if he gets yelled at for that kind of stuff. But he's got like this leverage. He's got this power because he does have the most affordable company that can do this stuff, and they're not going to pay twice as much for like Blue Origin or somebody to do it, especially since Blue Origin seems like it's the Amazon brand of space. They're just not doing a well job. But I know a lot of people have different opinions on this. Let me know in the comments below. Very creepy to me. I don't know. There's something about that just gives me the chills. Before we get into Harris's flight from Singapore, delayed by 3 hours because of Havana syndrome. By the way, Havana syndrome is this thing that the politicians in different embassies around the world have felt. They've gotten nauseous. They've gotten head pains. They have blurry vision. They have ringing in their ears. And they now believe, and there's officials that have come out and said that it's some sort of weapon that is used. It's Dex. What would you say that the kind of weapon was? Like ultrasonic or something like that?
Yeah, it's in that energy type category that would be using waves and ultrasonic type stuff. Yeah.
By the way, somebody special just stepped in. Brandon Henschel says, gotta teach, but gonna check replay. Much love. Hey, Brandon Henschel, thank you for stopping by. I did not know you were a teacher. I know you would be a good one. You're a good guy, so that is awesome. That's actually really great to hear. UFUUUK, I think I said it the most appropriate way there. Thank you for following. The Real Sift, the Salty Kingword says, my fiance, American medic, is going to more local government. I bet a lot of people are going to conflict with their local government. Kimberly Clemens says, hi fam, God bless. Thank you over on D-Live. Stormblade X69 says, much love, Adam, Mods, and Foogs. Renegade Petey and Bumpity 1B, Vinicel, thank you guys. Everybody that drops a lemon in there, thank you. Much appreciated. Island by the Sea, Sandra in Texas. And, of course, Bear Claws, thank you. And, Maui, hey, how are you doing? Maui Racing Realtors here. So it says that, of course, it was delayed because of this. It says the departure from Singapore was delayed by nearly 3 hours because of an anomalous health incident in Hanoi. Anomalous health incident is what U.S. government calls Havana syndrome. Harris was headed to Hanoi as part of the second leg of her Asia trip. Officials said that the decision was made to continue the trip. Earlier this evening, the vice president traveling delegation was delayed from departing Singapore because the vice president's office was made aware of a report of a recent possible anomalous health incident in Hanoi, Vietnam. After careful assessment, the decision was made to continue with the VP's trip, the U.S. embassies in Hanoi said in a statement. You know, people really crazy, though. A lot of people are talking about, our current prez getting somehow replaced. Something happens. He steps out, or they find unfit or whatever, and then she steps in. What if they both got replaced? That is a thought. What if something happened to both? That would be a trip. Who would take their place? That would be a debate and a half for a lot of people.
Well, if it's at the same time, it's Nancy.
Well, isn't she the natural? Isn't that how it does go though?
If both go at the same time, then it's her. If one goes, then if the prez goes, obviously the VP takes the role, and then they nominate a VP to fill. So if they get somebody nominated to fill, then that new person steps in, and then that person fills, and it starts over again.
If you've never seen, what was that show, The Sole Survivor, or the? Do you know what I'm talking about, Dex? The show with the guy from 24, Keith Sutherland.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see that show, but I know it's one of the ones where he's like really deep in the line, but he's the only one left, something like that.
Yeah, so apparently it's true that they pick like one person out of this huge cabinet of people, and it could be like the fishery ministry guy, super low down the totem pole, but they pick that person and they put them totally aside. So just in case anything happens during these big meetings, everybody gets destroyed, then that person would be the sole survivor and also be the president, would take immediate runnership. So that show, even just the first episode, I like the shows where you actually see the event. All if it's a season of something, I like the first season where everything goes down, right? That show, the first episode, basically the thing goes up in fire, and then he immediately gets sworn in because he's the only person. They have been doing stuff on continuity. This is what trips me out. We've actually covered real stuff about how they're like super drilling on continuity of government, which makes me think that they believe it is at risk. That is a trip to me. We've covered those. If you, in fact, type in continuity of government in our website, you'll see the shows that we've covered that and how they're kind of going about it. Very weird stuff.
And Adam, I think if people are looking for that other show, it's Designated Survivor. Is that the name of it?
Designated Survivor. Thank you. Not Soul Survivor. That's probably a really
that's
bad
from chat, by the way.
B movie.
I don't want to claim it.
Okay. Thank you, whoever said that. Lego My Rego says, can we just use informed instead of woke? I love it. I think that's a good replacement. One drummer guy says, much love, Adam and Dex. Don't catch many live shows during paving season, but we listen to every show. Foogle fam, shout out. During paving season, so you're probably out there making new roads, I'm guessing. The Roots and Branch, thank you. And then Cameron Combs says, Elon Musk mentioned 9 kings and then later mentioned 9 rings. Could that be connected? Also, how did you and Dex meet each other? Dex was actually, he watched the show and he helped out in our Discord. And he actually helped make we had 50 state groups, but then he reorganized them like an expert. And that's how I met him. And I met him through somebody else that was helping us at the time. So yeah, that's how we met. And ever since, been best friends. Darth Benedict, Greg Griffin, Delaware Sasquatch, thank you so much. And let's see. Steve-O, thank you so much for your support via PayPal. I thank you for that. And then let's, before that we go to this, military gives Mr. B until Tuesday to decide whether to extend the mission to Afghanistan past August 31st. Before we do that, I do want to mention, right now, of course, you can actually get upwards of $50 off per device or more. In fact, our grandfathered in discount gets stacked on any sale that EMP Shield does, and protect yourself against actual EMPs. If we do have an EMP event, they say 90% of us could perish in that event due to shortage of water and everything else that would happen in this horrible event. Again, you can actually protect your personal devices, your house, your car, your generator, your motorcycle, your RV, or even your ham radio with a different EMP device. Again, this company is actually working with DHS, DOD, and now on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. You can also protect yourself against the natural kind, solar flares, up to 228,000 amps. You can do all of this if you go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Not only will you be supporting the show, but they have ended up giving you a giant discount and helping us out with the commission. That's, again, it's a win-win for everybody. It helps us. It's how the ecosystem works on YouTube. When you support affiliates like this, you support us and you support your favorite channel. So, and you protect yourself. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. The car model, which is their most popular, takes about 5 minutes or 8 minutes in my case to put in your car, and then you're not stuck out in nowhere if this ever does happen. Again, $50 off per device. Delaware Sasquatch, I'll take the advice from the other listener. I'm keeping it real and informed in Delaware. I love it. Susan Donahue! Man, what the heck? It's nice seeing you, Susan. You haven't stopped by in a while, so we've missed you here. Dear Adam, Dex, and Mod Squad, with many thanks and much love, my money's still on #Team Humanity. Thank you, Susan Donahue. Again, old school OG Foogle fam stopping by. That's really awesome. Military gives B until Tuesday to decide whether to extend this mission. So the big deal about this, and they don't think this has ever happened before. Dex, isn't this kind of a strange thing to happen? Has the military ever done this in modern day?
Well, I don't know that we've ever really been up against a deadline given to us by our adversary, which is kind of interesting. But in this particular scenario, and as we'll see as we cover all this next progression of articles and how this actually played out, but the reason the military did this is like saying, hey, if you're going to do something by the 31st, then we have to know and have time to actually execute that. And so we're going to tell you, you got to make a decision by Tuesday, because we can't make a decision on the 30th or the 31st. There's no time left, right?
Yeah, so the U.S. military is giving JB until basically today to decide whether he plans to extend the mission. So we're going to cover the full part of this, because this is This is how it went. It says this comes after the Taliban threatened President B and the U.S. to complete the withdrawal of all American troops by August 31st or, quote, face consequences. It says the U.S. military is advising President JB that he must decide by Tuesday whether to extend the evacuation beyond the 31st, according to a defense official directly familiar with the discussion. Which, again, that would be going by their date. That would be negotiating with T or S, right? Which we don't do, but apparently we do. Again, and that would be basically this group of people is telling the big bad U.S. military and the big bad U.S. Of the United States of America, you better get out or else. And
that's a bold statement from them, right?
That's pretty huge.
A really bold statement.
I mean, what do they have, or what kind of leverage do they have? How is it extending like this? So just watch. It says, if the president agrees, the military anticipates a, quote, a few more days of trying to evacuate as many people as possible before the withdrawal of U.S. forces begins, possibly at the end of this week. Now, I believe we have a tweet here, too, later on, so I'll go through the next one.
And Adam, if you read that correctly, which, I mean, if you listen to that correctly, they're basically saying as many as possible, meaning it's not possible to get everyone. And, oh, by the way, when we leave, somebody's going to be left behind.
And that means people are going to be taken out, like left for DEAD. And then it changes to JB agrees to stick to the August 31 pullout. And, of course... It says that President GB will stick to a Pentagon recommendation to remove U.S. troops from Afghanistan by August 31st, so long as the Taliban enables the United States to complete its evacuations, 3 U.S. officials told Reuters on Tuesday, or Reuters. It says, and again, I say it on purpose wrong because it bothers Dex. Mr. B sent thousands of U.S. troops to the Kabul airport after the Taliban terrorist group took over the city and much of the country in less than 2 weeks ago. So I do want to show you the map that's in the background. You probably didn't notice this, but behind my thumbnail, this was July 9th. Okay? This is just last month. And the red is, of course, controlled by the Taliban. This is the 16th of August. That little tiny yellow, I think all of that is gone too now. Basically, it is all controlled.
Yeah, it's basically just an airport. That's the only thing that would be yellow, and it wouldn't show up on that map.
No, it's literally a strip, right? An airstrip. It's a landing strip. Yeah. Too long. G7 states agree on roadmap for dealing with probable Taliban government not on evacuation's end. What? So it says earlier the Taliban, which currently controls the entirety of Kabul, with the exceptions of its international airport, which is held by NATO forces, said that it will not be negotiating to shift the current 31st of August deadline for the evacuation of those foreign nationals, Afghans, who did not want to leave the country. The G7 decided that the Kabul airport must be held as long as necessary to complete the evacuation. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has stated that in the wake of the G7 summit on the situation in Afghanistan, in line with this summit, the EU Commission chief called on the Taliban to provide unimpeded access to the airport for those who want to get out of the country. It says, we all agreed that it is our moral duty to help the Afghan people and to provide as much support as possible as conditions allow. So, Dex, I'm actually going to load the couple articles that we had do you want to speak on this? So
this is crazy. So the G7, I mean, this is the other countries who we work with, and they have been just as much participating in this country with us, alongside us, are saying, no, we need to stay as long as it takes to get our people out. Why would you capitulate to the 31st? That's not what we want to do.
Why would you give in?
Yeah, that's what they're doing, right? And not they, that's what JB's doing. So this is kind of a really a big deal and a really interesting series of events that have played out through the course of the day, from the military saying this is the last day for you to tell us if you're going to do the 31st, to him saying, yes, we're going to do the 31st, to the G7 saying, are you out of your mind? We need more time. And by the way, if we roll out and they're left behind, I think that they're probably going to be outnumbered. And I don't know what will happen.
So it's changed, and so multiple parties are saying, of course, we should be like, we're the U.S. government. You're going to do what we say, or we'll take out your whole country or something. You know, like that's what previous people would probably do. Like, no, you're not going to tell us what to do. That's like, you know, NK saying you need to do this by this day, and we're saying yes. I don't know. Of course, it's different, but this is like, you know. In fact, NK is bigger, I would think, right? I don't know the actual size and population, but I would think that NK is bigger, and the T-Ban is telling us to do this. Let's see here. So here's a tweet by Lucas Tomlinson. Says the U.S. military has started withdrawing from Afghanistan, reducing troop presence, according to U.S. Officials, while thousands of Americans are still in the country. And then here is another tweet. U.S. Embassy issues last alert for U.S. citizens to leave Afghanistan or they're on their own, then recalls it 30 minutes later. So, Dex, you're saying basically that they said you have 30, basically saying if you don't get out now, you're on your own. And then they took that back because that was pretty harsh.
They took it back. It's probably bad wording. But yeah, I would actually believe them, to be honest, because they're basically saying, you know, if you don't get out now, you're on your own, because, you know, you don't have many days left. And it sounds like, you know, the administration's pulling out. So, if you're not moving now, you don't have much chance.
Gosh, this troll underneath. I can't listen to you anymore. Take a vacation. It's like, why do people do random responses to like things like this, you know? Or it will be a tweet on like, you know, oh, I took my daughter for ice cream, and then they'll respond anti-V or anti-this and blah blah blah. It's like, whoa, why are you coming to this post for that?
Yeah, I'm sure it's because that was maybe a Fox News reporter, but in both cases, these are journalists. These are not just rando tweets out there. This is coming from news organizations. I think one of them was I know one of them may have been Fox, but the other one was probably CBS or something else. They're journalists, so that you know, take them for what they're worth. But yeah, I totally get you when you see those trolls doing that.
Well, I mean, but what's funny is I'll see somebody will have a problem with something I say on the show, and then they'll go over to Twitter and respond to some random post, and it's the first thing they can find because they don't know how to use Twitter. So they just find like my name and then click on it and then try to, anywhere they can type, they'll just type it in, and they'll say, yeah, what about this? You said this on the show and that's not true or something. I'm like, why don't you tweet and tag me in that or something? They don't even know how Twitter works. Like, if you're going to troll, be a good troll. You know, just saying. Fisher Aquatics, thank you for subscribing. Sassy Lass, watch the skies. The sun and the moon have lost their rhythm. Sassy Lass, there's actually evidence. We've covered how the different tribes in different places have said that the moon is setting in different places, and they're starting to record it. It's really weird stuff. Or the sky is different. The sky is changing. What a weird thought. And then April Sheldon, thank you for your support. And then Valian, thank you for your support as well over on YouTube. Thank you so much. And then again, thank you, Defrustrated, for coming in again. Arrest both of those cheating POSs now. Stay. protect it. Hags6996, been a while since I caught a live. Love family. Lisa K23, thank you, Lisa, for supporting. So the people far away from Kabul, what is there? A long road ahead. Miss Jackson 906, Twitter crazy red and green lights in Michigan sky an hour ago. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Miss Jackson, we'll try to show that on tomorrow's show if we can't get it. Dex, if you can, Michigan, crazy green and red lights in Michigan sky. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to find that. Really crazy stuff here. Thank you. And that's the cool thing about the live chat is we end up getting breaking news from you guys. You are part of the show. Breaking T-Ban are now blocking the road leading to Kabul airport for non-foreigners. That's right, non-foreigners. Which that's I read that like 3 times the first time, and I was thinking, so wait, non-foreigners. So they are letting people through according to this. It says T-Ban have blocked the road leading. Hold on, let me make sure you can see that. Leading to Kabul airport, the T Group's spokesman Zabalaya Mahajid has stated. I just love that they have like a spokesman, right? Does he like wear a tie with his, that's, I don't know. Does he have a watch and he's always on his phone? It's like, oh, yeah. No. Yeah, my client, oh, sorry, that client got beheaded. Hold on, let me put you on hold. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. No. Oh, it's a woman? No. No, just take care of it. Thanks. Like my reenactment. The spokesman added that from now on, only foreign nationals will be allowed to travel to the airport, the only way out of the country not involving crossing T-Ban checkpoints. That's
okay,
great.
so what that means is if you were there and you were a non-foreigner, meaning you're a local, you're an A-country citizen, but you were being paid by our government, you were doing work for our government, you are our military, you were doing anything of that sort, right? And you're part of the system that was upholding that country, you're not going to go through because they want all those people. They're not going to let them out, right?
Yeah.
So anybody who supported us, you're done. If you supported us, you're done. You just basically, they said no.
So the questions, what happens to the people on the other side of the country, or on the other side of the province or whatever they call it there? They're kind of screwed. It says the T-Ban spokesman also condemned U.S. calls for Afghans to leave the country, urging Washington to stop encouraging such behavior. Mahajid specifically addressed Afghan interpreters who used to work for NATO and now fear T-Ban retribution and who hope that the departing troops will evacuate them. The spokesman assured that the interpreters will not be harmed. They're men of their words. CIA chief secretly met Taliban leaders as President B faces pressure over Afghan evacuation deadline. It says, facing growing pressure over his looming deadline to leave Afghanistan, President JB dispatched his spy chief to meet with the T-Ban's de facto leader, according to a senior diplomat in the region and another source familiar with the matter. They apparently had tea and crumpets, and they played patty cake. Sorry, I did add that part in, but I do believe it is true. CIA Director William Burns held a secret meeting with Taliban co-founder. Wait, Taliban co-founder? Okay, I'm like thinking. So is he the other co-founder? And political leader Abdul Ghani Baradar on Monday, the sources said the meeting was first reported by the Washington Post. The CIA declined to comment on the meeting, citing the agency's policy of never discussing the travels and meetings of its director. Well, that makes sense. What is so crazy is the CIA has a public presence, but then the CIA is the same people that put in all of these. I mean, the CIA and NSA work hand in hand to do the most secret and just disgusting operations in the world. And throughout history, we know the stuff that's been declassified is the most savage stuff. There's such a thing as called collateral damage. There have been innocent people that have lost their lives, just horrible things that have happened, so they could say that they're going for the greater good or doing something good, or they take out a prez or do this. I mean, there's hitmen in the CIA. These are people that assassinate people legally. That's what's so crazy is there's no good country, there's no good prez, or at least, if you think about it, every president is a killer. They sign off and they go, hey, yep, take them out. And it's based on, there's 20 people in a room saying like, hey, we need to take this person's life. That's just weird to me. Obviously, we're not super evolved, species if this is what we do, Obviously, we would need a huge step up to be a type 1 civilization. And it wouldn't include taking people out and, depopulating by force. Let's see here.
What I want to know is, did he show up with a couple of Learjets full of cash and, maybe reestablish the lines of,
No.
The stuff that were coming out of there?
That would be too obvious. Show up with a couple of cargo jets with Jeeps inside, then those Jeeps are shoved, with cash. Hopefully tinted windows, just because,
Peace Jeeps. It's all about the peace. Peace Jeeps.
The Peace Jeeps. Peace Jeeps. Peace Jeeps. Ask Jeeves. Does that exist anymore? Ask Jeeves. Let's ask Jeeves. Did he bring suit cars full of money? Yeah, right, because that's what they did for the last person who ran the country. Speaking of protection and protecting yourself, well, actually not. I never know how to do transitions into these things. NordVPN. If you have not already checked out NordVPN or any virtual private network, what this does is it protects you. It protects your IP address. It protects, again, your cyber presence. It prevents people from actually data mining your stuff. It prevents them from, doing these weird data logs where they know exactly what you're buying and all of this. You can help stop that by getting a virtual private network. It puts your IP address somewhere else, and it stops data logging. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. This is good for upwards of 70% off, and it helps our channel at the same time. But not on top of that, it actually works for 6 different devices at the same time, up to 6 simultaneous connections. So you can use it on your laptop, your desktop, your cell phone. A lot of people don't know you can protect your cell phone and others, or your kid's laptop, your kid's phone. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/VPN. Savings code Marfoogle. And then massive expansion underway at Russia's highly strategic northernmost Arctic airbase. So we've talked about kind of the Arctic, and as far as the bases and all of the different countries are oddly up there all the time now. It says the Arctic base's runway has expanded last year, and now a large apron area is being built to support large-scale deployments. Dex. That is creepy.
I mean, it was crazy when we talked about what they were doing, less than a year ago, almost a year ago, right? With the Arctic and how they were investing heavily in it. And now it's just getting bigger and bigger.
And it's getting ready for being able to deploy. And not only that, they're cutting paths in the ice so they can skip the normal routes and get around without going through some of the more controlled outlets. Russia is continuing to expand its aviation facilities at Nogorskoye Air Base, which sits adjacent to its large Arctic trefoil outpost. A year ago, nearly to the day, we reported on Russia's work to expand the base's runway from 8,200 feet to 11,500 feet before the winter, as well as prepping other areas for improvement. Now appears that not only was the runway extension successfully executed last winter, as predicted, but a new massive parking apron is now under construction that can support far larger aircraft deployments of aircraft than in the past. This fits with Russia's strategy to militarily dominate the increasingly strategic Arctic region, which will see new shipping routes energy due to climate change and is high in energy reserves. In fact, satellite imagery also shows that a small deployment of cargo aircraft A-50 mainstay airborne early warning aircraft and MiG-31 Foxhound interceptors already occurred last winter. You can see the massive apron under construction at the highly remote base in the image at the top of this story. So they're talking about this whole big area to the right, and they're going to be able to basically put these giant things. You can't really get a scale of size, but this is a gigantic, 11,000 feet long. A football field is 300 feet. So as far as the eye can see, this thing goes.
Well, and people don't, or countries don't make investments like this unless it's legit, right? I guess they could just throw money away. Maybe some countries do, but
what do they see coming?
Yeah, they see something coming. They know the writing's on the wall, and of course, we'll spin it around climate and other things, but irregardless, if they know that land up there that was once very frozen is no longer going to be, and they want to be the first ones there, obviously they know something's coming. They're investing heavily.
Now, another thing too is something going to happen where the Arctic is all of a sudden not the Arctic? Is something going to flip? Is that going to be, are they making predictions of where they need to be after something happens? Are they, I'm curious about the whole actions of this. Or is this purely strategic as far as a coming conflict or a possible coming conflict, right? NSAG 909 says, I remember watching the video of a military man saying meteors coming and they are not going to tell us before two men walked in. They're trying to get off of the planet fast. I think something is coming. Again, I think that, by the way, there's Israeli News Live, Stephen Ben-Nun, he's been saying some pretty shocking stuff. I have not seen the video directly, but I've been getting tons of emails. Of course, if I have a video that's shocking or something, I'm sure he gets emails. I've been getting emails saying that he's kind of boldly saying that he believes around November, or one of his sources believes November, something is going to hit the West Coast. I have not heard anything of that. I'm going to watch the video and check it out. I know that he does know a lot of people, and again, but I just want to see it for myself to be a judge. But yeah, I do think that there's a meteor thing happening, and I think that or if it's not a meteor, it would be something that would be made to look like one. Because I think, look at the actions that they're taking. Look at the operations they're doing. It's like they're setting us up to accept it. A seed for your thought. Thank you for subscribing. Fisher Aquatics, again, thank you for subscribing. All the new subscribers, if you do subscribe during a show, you will get a shout out. And a lot of the times I'll end up seeing it the next show, and I'll shout you out anyways. Let's see here.
That's a great question, Adam. Let me ask you this. If a nuke was coming in or a meteor was coming in and it blew up, but you saw it from a distance, a safe distance, would you know the difference?
No. I mean, well, look at the Pentagon and September of 2001. They had cameras, and you couldn't see a clear image of it, and that was as fast as a plane goes. Think if an object is going 20,000 miles.
Whatever they want to tell us, right? They're going to say whatever they want to say. It could be a meteor, or it could be something else, and they can call it a meteor, or it could be a meteor and it could be something else and they not call it that, right? So yeah, it's really interesting when you think of something of that magnitude, because it will be big, and I'm sure it'll look like something we've never seen before, and most of us have never seen.
Well, and why we're saying
even a blast like that.
And why we're saying this is because we do have people in the audience that don't believe space exists, period. And that to some of you might not, that's a crazy thought, but I do. I'm open to having people of all different views, and that's how we should be. We should not, hate somebody because of what they believe, but even in their thoughts, something could happen like that, and they could make it look like an asteroid. Either way, I'm saying, what they train you to train you to accept things that could happen. Even if you don't think there's space, what would you think it would be? Would it be a missile that's shot from Earth and comes back down or something? Don't know. It seems like it's pretty simple to see the setup. By the way, Gone Girl 777 says, I made it. I'm listening. Love to all. I'm listening. Hands busy. Love you all, Foogle fam. Gone Girl, you also get a thank you. Thank you for your support, Gone Girl. We really appreciate you, and I'm hoping you're staying safe. How was Sturgis? I'm sure you went. Lurker1, I know I got pictures from several people that went to Sturgis, and they said it was just amazing. All right, and then McDonald's runs out of milkshakes due to supply chain issues. So, by the way, this is a pop. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the audience that do, then they eat McDonald's or fast food in general. A lot of people have noticed that there's a lot of shortages, or they say there's a lot of shortages. Of course, there is a lot of stuff that is not coming through. Different suppliers, obviously, they probably get their stuff from China or some sort of milkshake mix from China. I don't know. It says milkshakes are off the menu at McDonald's in Britain, leaving customers definitely not loving it due to supply chain issues, according to reports. The fast food chain has also been left without some bottled drinks across its 1,250 outlets in England, Scotland, and Wales this week. It is understood to be due to a shortage of lorry drivers following a new post-Brexit EU immigration rules, CV restrictions, and self-isolation rules. The burger chain is said to be working hard to restore the items to the menu as soon as possible. Now, some people will say, oh, who cares? They don't have shakes. We cover anything that's shortage related. So if a major business like this is not getting something because of a shortage, why is it? And why is it only shakes? But this is more to show the drivers, right? So they're having driver shortages.
This is one of the most powerful corporations in the world, right? Especially in the food world. And yeah, I mean, they're so big when they created their parfaits, those little frozen drinks, right? There were certain flavors and fruits they wanted to do, but because they're so big, if they were to even introduce those fruits, it would take the entire supply of the fruits on the whole earth for the demand that they would have, right? So this is a company that can pretty much do anything it wants, and it has, okay? And I'm not saying that's good, it's just what it is. And if they're having these types of issues, and it's not just drivers, that's maybe part of it, but this is happening everywhere. I get emails every day. I was at the store today looking through the hardware store, and it's just stuff is not there. There's lots of stuff that you can't get now, and it seems like it's growing. And so this is just yet another example of what is happening with the supply chain. And I know that's a mysterious word to many people, but there's a lot of things that make up that chain, from the end drivers to the trains to the shipping to the fruit that goes into a cup, right? I mean, it's all sorts of things that make up that supply chain that gets the food to your table, or in some cases people who live on fast food, the food that they grab at the drive-thru, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most powerful companies in the world, and for them to be having these kind of shortages, it shows you a lot. But on top of that, we're talking about that almost every other restaurant on top of this is being affected, and this isn't, we're said not to even be in the main shortages yet. There are still people saying that we have not hit the worst of it, that this hasn't even begun, and we're seeing it all over the place. Somebody said Sonic shakes are great. I agree with you, but Sonic here locally, they have signs that say we're out of several items. They don't have the smaller chicken things and this thing and whatever. They're missing several things, and that's because of these so-called shortages. What does worse look like? That's why we tell people to stock up on frozen meat, frozen stuff if you can. Also have a backup of canned foods that don't go bad if your freezer dies or if you lose power. Everybody should be doing this every week. We have tried to make sure to remind you every single week that you can even spend as little as $5, just get a couple cans a week. Literally the one Starbucks coffee if that's your thing, or one $5 meal or something. Put it aside for food later. Or instead of going out to lunch for $10 during lunch at work, spend $5 and spend the other $5 on prep. It's smart. Alaska Prepper, really great prepping channel. He does payday preps. he basically has a normal job and normal payday, and he takes just a little tiny percentage of that, and then he tries to get the most affordable preps that last the longest. He's a really great guy. He's the same person on and off camera. He's incredibly generous. He's just an amazing person inside and out. If you guys have not subscribed to Alaska Prepper, make sure to go say hi from Marv. I agree with you. Ilea says, shout out to WV Mind for holding it down. I don't know why I said mind like it was censored. I'm so used to doing that. WV Prepared Mind, thank you for holding it down. Let me see something here. We're gonna go over to this. Taiwan seeks again to reassure U.S. over tackling chip shortage. Dex, can you talk about this real quick while I check something?
Absolutely. So, the chip shortage has obviously continues to be a big deal. And, Taiwan, if you're not aware, Taiwan Semiconductor Company and others there basically produce the largest share of computer chips that are used across the world and in products that we all need every day here. And that's part of the shortage we were talking about, is the fact that you can't get these chips, whether it's shortages in cars, shortages in computers, or even shortages in simple things that you wouldn't think are hard to get, but they actually require some sort of computing processor in them. So as this continues to unfold, we're starting to see, TSMC, which is the semiconductor company, and Taiwan basically try to reassure the world that they're doing things to make it better, right? So that's the big thing, is that they're amping up productivity, but I don't think, this is my opinion, I don't think we're going to see a difference anytime soon. I think we're going to be riding into this because we're coming in, it's the end of August, and we're coming into, September, October. People are going to start looking into, buying Christmas gifts, things like that. All of the electronics are sold. Lots of electronics are sold at the end of the year. Okay. So even if they start to improve the output on this, the demand for electronics is going to be so high, whether it's the new TV that you can get on a Black Friday sale that you wanted to hang on the wall, or the video game system. All of those things are going to be in such high demand in the next 3 to 4 months that demand is going to crush anything that they're doing to improve the supply. So you're going to actually feel it. I think we're all going to feel it in a much greater way than we're feeling it today, going into the end of the year.
And of course, all the chips that we are getting prioritized as far as everything that, as far as the massive shortage. What is going out is the biggest companies are getting those. Dex, did you actually? I don't think you've mentioned it in a while, but your friend owns a car stereo company, and he can't get car stereos.
Yeah, so the companies
so he's
that
not
made
get
the
them.
orders, right? So certain companies made orders, like Apple. They knew this was coming, or they at least predicted better, and they placed their orders. Not only are they big enough, but they were able to place very large orders to get chips, right? Other companies did that as well. And then secondary companies did not. Either they failed to do it, failed to recognize it soon enough, or they're just so low on the totem pole. But these are some significant companies, like Sony is a good example. My friend owns a car stereo business. You cannot get a Sony car stereo, period. You can't get them. They canceled all orders. They have none of them.
And is it true that even used, like if you're trying to get it secondary market, it's way up?
Oh yeah, and so anything that does trickle in, they are triple in price. Or you can sell your old used, in this particular area, car stereos. You can sell a used car stereo for a lot of money. And what's funny is that these chips, which are hard to come by, are the same chips that are used in other products in China. And my guy told me, he's like, look, I can go buy a Chinese knockoff radio and put it in a car. I can get that all day long, but I can't buy any of the name brands. I can't buy a Kenwood, can't buy a JVC, can't buy an Alpine, can't buy a Sony. And he's like, I've been doing this for 25 years, right? It's a big shop. He does that for a living. So he's now like resorting to these no-name Chinese brand radios as the only thing they can get.
And again, all of these things, Drop actually made a really good comment, said, China has switched to wartime economy. I believe you are right, or at least they are on their way to do so. As far as the different brands, everything else, I mean, like, I'm sure the car stereo is just one part of it, and there's plenty of others that are getting affected right now. And it's like, his small business, How is he affected by that? Is that hurting his pocket? I'm sure it is, right? So he's probably suffering. So how many other businesses and how many other places are actually getting hurt like that?
Well, and think about it though. Walk through your house, walk through any department store, and look at all the devices. Everything's electronic, from a washing machine to a microwave, to the cable box you might want to have so that you can watch television, right? All of those things require chips. They all require chips, and there's nothing new that's coming out that isn't electronic or requires chips.
Yep. Like we've said in the past, you probably have already heard this, but a lot of new people here, the average used car or any car takes about 140 to 160 of these chips. You're talking about multiple just in your seat. Take these little chips, car stereo, all of the stuff that around it. Everything that is electronic or anything usually basically takes these chips. So that's why they are so very important. Okay, and then a couple of side things here. Actually, you added that one. I added a couple here. So a lot of people are talking about this online. There's a couple viral TikTok videos talking about NATO being in Norfolk. This is to kind of explain that NATO and United Nations do work together, and over the last 12 years or so, they have actually done a lot together. And people are freaked out because they're saying, "Hey, NATO has moved in." So I want to show you this. This is July 16th or July. Let's see here. Maybe I got the wrong one here. Hold on. Yes. Okay, so first off, we'll show you the thing. NATO and UN share strong bonds building on dialogue and cooperation developed after the end of the Cold War. A structured framework of cooperation was set out in a joint declaration agreed to in September of 2008. Both NATO and the UN were conceived out of the same ethos of post-World War II multilateralism, and the two organizations share a deep-seated commitment to common values, with NATO's founding document, the North Atlantic Treaty, making specific mention of the purposes and principles of the Charter of United Nations. Nearly 70 years on. There's a part here that actually says the kind of difference, but basically there's one main difference between NATO and UN. NATO, their kind of core principle is they will fight war to keep peace. UN's thing is that they do everything possible to avoid war to keep peace. So they're kind of dueling things here. So NATO is it's weird because UN is the ones that go in there and do a lot of stuff. But NATO is kind of the wartime. They will fight to keep the peace, right? Basically, we'll kill to keep peace, right? So let me pop this open. Maybe it popped up wrong in the screener here. Hold on. So check this out. And this is what people are buzzing about in social media. Here we go. Okay. Allied Joint Force Command, Norfolk declares full operational capability. Again, Norfolk, North Virginia. It says NATO's newest operational command, established in July 2019 as part of the alliance's command structure adaptation, is the first NATO headquarters dedicated to the Atlantic since 2003. Its mission is to protect the strategic lines of the communications across all domains, protect sea lanes between Europe and North America, and enable reinforcement of Europe. Opening the ceremony on board of the USS Kearsarge, Vice Admiral Lewis acknowledged the importance of this achievement. Says the security environment continues to grow more challenging and complex, particularly in the Atlantic. JFC Norfolk demonstrates NATO's dedication to security and stability in the region and sends a strong message of reassurance to both North Americans and Europeans, while serving as a powerful signal to deter any potential adversary. It says, since achieving initial operational capability in September 2020, the 150 staff members from 21 NATO and partner nations have been relentlessly training and practicing an array of tasks and assignments to identify shortfalls and address them. It says this will enable the command to more efficiently support the alliance by contributing to NATO contingency planning. Contingency. Developing high readiness capabilities to respond in an emergency crisis, providing coherent command arrangements for allied forces, maintaining situational awareness, and drawing up operational plans covering vast geographic areas. So this is, again, a NATO operational center being put in Norfolk, North Virginia. So a lot of people are talking about this, basically saying, this is one and the same with UN. It's a little bit different, but again, this is what people are talking about at least. What do you think about NATO setting up an operational center like this in Norfolk? Do you think it is odd? Do you think that this is something to be alarmed by? I'm more alarmed by them drilling, landing, and taking off, A-10 Warthogs on U.S. highways. I'm more worried about, some of the drills that they're doing right now than this. But again, what is your opinion? Dex, do you have an opinion on this as far as, what you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's got to be something to the fact that it's in our country, it's in the location it's in. I mean, NATO has always been, this Atlantic treaty amongst, the U.S. and our allies across Europe. And, traditionally you would think, okay, well, it's there, the result of the second W and, how we protect and continue to protect and support, Europe, right? So, that's part of what I look at this, but then seeing that it's moved to our land or it's invested heavily in our land is worth looking into. It's worth questioning, like, what are the operations they're going to be doing from there? Are there newer threats that they're thinking that are more on our homeland versus Europe, even though I know it said, to protect and to, establish routes and establish, backup for Europe. But if that's the case, why is it all the way across the pond here?
Exactly. I mean, it's creeping people out. Some of the biggest TikTok videos right now that I saw in this kind of space are regarding it, and people are, I saw it was like 1.2 million hearts on it, which for a post like that on TikTok, that doesn't usually get that much people, going. I thought that was pretty odd. I was looking for Ilea in the chat, but I know that it's on slow chat, so it's hard to type in. Ilea, if you can pop in. Let's see here. If you can chat or say something in there. There we go. Ilea, I want to dub you. So again, Ilea, very long time OG Foogle member, has been here for a very, very long time. Has, no matter, even if I say something that she completely disagrees with, which I have many times, she is actually on the probably closer to the opposite end of the spectrum as myself, but she continues to be someone who sticks around and talks with everybody of all different types. So for that reason, today I am adding her as a moderator. Again, WV Prepared Mind has been in there by herself, handling 4.6 thousand. WV, you are very, very special, and I really appreciate you. So now you have help from somebody who, has been around almost as long as you have, if not. I think you guys have been around about the same amount of time, but WV has been around for 3 years, and thank you to all the mods that have been around for a very long time. I know that, over 3 years things change, people go off separate ways. So Ilea, congratulations on moderator. You are an amazing person. Tomorrow we're going to be adding one more. NATO is something to consider, says Able Body. There's a lot of crazy stuff. So tomorrow will be somebody else's day. Thank you for everybody that has been with us for a long time. Dex, do you want to tell us about some of this other stuff? And
Absolutely. So lots going on in the not safe area. So if you head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to the web only content, you will find everything else, almost a whole nother show. Matter of fact, one of the first videos on there you should go take a look at, and I'd love to know if you think it's real or staged, but it is a video that was making its rounds, and one I actually wanted us to show on the show, but I just didn't feel like we could get away with it because there's lots of things said in there. But lots of other things going on from the V category, and lots of hypocrisies and other things that we just don't necessarily have the opportunity to cover here. So go take a look. You will find lots of other information on marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for this show, scroll down and look for the title that says web only content. Take a look.
All right, well, Dex, I appreciate your help, and I appreciate everybody that's been here tonight. Thank you. Joanna W. says, coolness, congrats, Ilea. Again, Dex and everybody else that helps make this show possible, thank you all. Thank you, Marfoogle fam. And over on D-Live, I want to say just a really special thank you to all of the mods over there as well. They deal with thousands of people too. Dixie Doe, Bear Claws, Angela 1609, thank you for showing up tonight. Jacktronics, Lurker 1, Echo Vibe, Quantum Cat. Again, thank you for all of the support over there as well. Let's see here. Tonight, our leader is, of course, Gone Girl 777. Thank you so much for your support tonight. Cannot say thank you enough. Thank you for just overall being an amazing support to our channel. Again, for the few that do go above and beyond, it really does make a huge difference. So thank you so much. Lisa K, you are another one that I cannot stop thanking. Thank you guys. Again, without, really a few make the difference. So thank you so much. Bad Wolf Gigi, thank you so much. You've been on that list many times. Thank you, and thank you. Those are the top three. El Luna 3377. If I missed something, I apologize. And then Scooby Doo Do Right, J Bill, Defrustrated, Jacktronics, CDK, another creator. Make sure to go check him out on D-Live. CDK, thank you for your support. Do appreciate when creators stop by. The Salty Kingward, I appreciate you as well. You guys have a great night. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Shoutro. Delaware Sasquatch says, Camel La Harass actually warned business leaders to buy X-Mex gifts now, as a shortage is expected this year. Connected to chip or West Coast disaster? Question mark. I see for your thought and I see license, I see ya. Bring it, Delaware, Sasquatch, Donahue. Bring it back down, I choose. Marfoogle News. Failure, you are failure, you are failure, you are failure, you are failure.
Vaccine, that ugly girl. Vaccine, vaccine. I was rolling down the street with my friend. Cameron Cones, they go the totem pole, the monitor. Everybody sees Michael De La Roca. Says you on my night, they listen to Ocha. I'm about to bring it at 8 o'clock. Ha. I've got the pep and hammer, yeah, free 809. Michelle Fisher and Idol fine. With my friend standing right by my side. Butterfly, Beatles, thanks for subscribe. And the James Fox, Tristan Early and Mr. Machina Opas. Thanks for all of your support. I know that my best. I bet Murphy's and the vest, yo, and a W and an Insta. I'm gonna write it on the side of the wall. Maybe I'll write it on stone. I'll see the Christ is the answer. I'm out with racing, not a realtor. On the island by the sea and the Galilee. Dancing, Cheryl Dupree and the WV. A prepared mind in the geographically free. I've got the twisted tats and Mr. C. A Joe that you know and what happy. I said kids got, oh, hey. Vaccine, Alia. Able bodied be here tomorrow. My wish is I got no sorrow. I in the guys and got the home. Steady, shadow on the wolf on the 833. A Jim got that Dex a G. A bear claws in Strom and Lester win. Holiday, kiss her. Never gonna not miss ya. Oh, I live by the sea. Holiday, kiss her and I said don't treat on the beat dog. Oh, I see. Come girl, a chip or seven. 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 I bring bing back down with the end times and the count. I mix the Z, I see Angela 609.